Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars The Black Series action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at a new release in the line, that is the Clones of the Republic 2-pack featuring Plo Koon and Clone Commander Wolffe. So you guys know the drill by now, we're taking a look at the packaging first, just to get it out of the way. We've got the Galaxy style packaging, but this time it's more of the old style from 2020, as the edges of the box have got that slight taper to them. But the style guide remains the same, so we've got the pale blue colour at the bottom, which says Clones of the Republic. That's of course the partnership line between Disney and Hasbro. Plo Koon and Clone Commander Wolffe at the bottom there. And then, as with all Black Series 2 packs in this style, the mural art for each character is on the respective sides of the box of which they are packaged. So we've got Commander Wolffe there, and we've got Plo Koon there. That artwork is then of course repeated on the back of the box, along with a brief description about each character. So this is a very controversial 2-pack to say the least. I've certainly got a few opinions about Plo Koon, but we're going to start with the positives, and that is Commander Wolffe. This is a brand new version of the character. He's on the latest version of the Clone Trooper body mold, first released in 2023. And it's a great figure. This is one I've been waiting for some time. So starting off with the details, straight away, that head sculpt, fantastic likeness to Temuera Morrison, definitely on par with some of the more recent Clone Trooper releases that we've had in the line. This being an iconic Clone Trooper character, we've got some character-specific details on display, such as the scar over his eye. And interesting to note, Hasbro have opted to give him the cybernetic eye on this release. On the previous one it was just painted white, and Hot Toys also gave Commander Wolffe the white eye in their recent release. So I am very fond of that choice there. It's something different and I'm very pleased to see it. Good job on that, Hasbro. Looking at the details on the rest of the figure, you can see that it is just a basic Clone Trooper as we've come to expect, but we've got character specific details to Commander Wolffe's armour design and that of the Wolffe pack. As you can see, classic Wolffe pack logo on the shoulder there, and the design then overlaps his gauntlet in grey. The communicator is highlighted in a white paint, which is nice, just for a little more added detail. Whilst the forearm on the other side is the same, the shoulder pad is different with a unique logo along with the antenna as well, very similar to Commander Cody. The helmet is a very good interpretation, I suppose. Some people think that it should bear more resemblance to Commander Neo's from Revenge of the Sith due to the design, but I'm very happy that it resembles the animated version of the character, as that is of course where we know him from. I'll just take the helmet off the figure so we can take a closer look at that. Lots of nice details, and none to my knowledge that have been spared, which is great to see. Recently Hasbro have been omitting a few paint applications from their figures. Not a big fan of that, but more on that later. The rangefinder has been cast in a gunmetal plastic, and that does go up and down, as with most rangefinders on Clone Trooper helmets. And whilst this is a removable helmet and not an interchangeable sculpt, I am happy to report that it goes on the head really smoothly and doesn't require much force, unlike other Clone Trooper helmets. And as far as proportions go, I think for a removable helmet it is very well proportioned and doesn't look oversized or bulbous, which really adds to the whole conversation about what do you want, removable helmets or interchangeable sculpts. And it's a good contender really, because it shows that both can be done well depending on the character. Speaking of those paint applications though, and some of them being missed, you can see the grey accents on his chest there. Now in the series those do also follow over to Commander Wolffe's back armour plate. Those were present on the previous release. It's not a big deal because they're on the back of the figure, but it is unfortunately a missing detail. So just having a look at the bottom of the figure now, we've got the belt. This is a new belt sculpt with new holsters, although it might actually be quite similar to Lieutenant Gale's. I haven't actually checked, so have a look yourselves, guys. Let me know if this is actually reuse or not. Either way, it's very nice. Certainly different to that we've seen on Captain Rex and different clone commanders of this style. One feature being, of course, the waist cape. This one's been done very nicely. There was a bit of a sketchy period during the red and black box packaging days where the waist capes were just not very good and too small. They used to fray a lot and the quality was just overall very poor. This seems to be returning to the style of the Phase 2 Captain Rex figure from back in the day. This is very nice quality. The grey is printed rather crisp all around the edge, and it's the correct size. It hangs very naturally and it looks very, very nice on display. I am constantly impressed with Hasbro's attempts at improving their soft goods. That's been a continuing theme over the last 12 months, and I'm a big fan of it. I hope to see more as time progresses. Your basic Clone Trooper thigh plates comes down to the knee pads, which are separate pieces. Another expectation for the 2023 Clone Trooper body mould. The shin guards, I suppose, carry that iconic Wolfpack design all the way down to the feet, which are cast in a grey plastic. So, covering accessories for Commander Wolffe. I'm not sure whether you want to count the helmet as an accessory with it being removable. That's entirely up to you. But as far as weapons go, this guy just comes with his blaster pistols, synonymous with that of clone captains and commanders, and the sculpt is very nice. It's cast in a grey plastic, and it's not too dissimilar to previous versions that we've seen in the line. And of course, this guy being the 2023 body mould means that he's got hands with 2 trigger fingers, so he can be displayed with those accurately, which is very nice. I suppose my only complaint is he could have come with his DC-15 blaster rifle, as I do believe in the Clone Wars that is his preferred weapon and what you see him use more so than the blaster pistols. So I'm just going to briefly cover articulation. I won't run through it all in demonstration on the figure. This is nothing new at the end of the day. If you've got the 2020 Clone Trooper, or a version that's been released since, then the articulation is the same or thereabouts. So you'll have a ball joint in the head and the neck. There's going to be ball hinged shoulders with butterfly joints. There's a bicep swivel, hinge swivel elbows. The wrists actually are on the old style. No ball joints on Clone Troopers yet, unfortunately, but more roll of the dice hinge there, and then the flex in and out on this side. He's got a ball joint in the upper torso, ball hinged hips, thigh swivel of course, and then we've got hinge swivel at the knee. The knee pads, as mentioned previously, are loose on there, so you can move them around your poses for a little more ease. And then we've got hinged ankles with the rocker joint. So standard articulation for a Clone Trooper these days. It's definitely a body which still stands the test of time. I know it's only a few years old, but I don't think this can be improved yet, and I'm still very, very happy with it. And for those of you interested, here is the old Commander Wolffe on the left and the new one on the right. A little comparison for you there, just so you can see how far the Clone Trooper sculpt has progressed over the years. And in my opinion, the new one is indefinitely superior. I'm not quite sure what we convinced ourselves that old one was, but by today's standards, it's certainly nothing special. So if this 2-pack is worth getting, it's worth getting for the new Commander Wolffe. Okay, so this is where I'm going to have a little bit of a rant. We're just going to talk about this guy first of all, because I'm not quite sure what this is. This is supposed to be a Clone Wars version of Plo Koon, but unfortunately, it's everything but that. Clone Wars Plo Koon is a fan favourite character, whilst the design was beloved from the prequel movies. The character of Plo Koon very much came into his own in the Clone Wars animated series. And as a result, I think that's what people remember the character for. He looks nothing like this in the series. Well, I suppose you could say it's a vague representation of it, but it's completely inaccurate, and unfortunately that comes down to the reuse of the Attack of the Clones Mace Windu body once again. I've lost count of how many Mace Windus we've had. I've lost count of how many times this body has been released. It's diabolical, in my opinion. It does not live up to the modern standard of the Black Series. The articulation is subpar, really. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. And I just think we can do better. For an iconic character such as Plo Koon, who has a unique look in the Clone Wars, his design is a little different to the more traditional Jedi robes that you see him in here. I think it deserved a brand new sculpt, and that highlights one of the problems with the Clones of the Republic line, in my opinion, because, as many other people have said, they tend to package them with Jedi, which, it's a worthwhile concept, but for these sets, really, I think it should be a clone commander and a clone trooper, or at least perhaps characters that fit whatever reuse is necessary. So a set of characters I've wanted for some time now is General Dai and Captain Keeley from the Clone Wars. That's one of my favourite Clone Wars episodes, and I think they're two really cool characters despite only appearing in that one episode. I think it's quite memorable, even considering that. More importantly, General Dai reuses the CGI model of Mace Windu for the body. So, I mean, it's right here. It could have been done. But instead, we got a very inaccurate Plo Koon. This is complete reuse. And it's really unfortunate, because it could have been something special if it had been released in mainline, or perhaps a little more thought had been put into it. We'll just run through the figure, because whilst I'm not very happy with it, and I've had a little moan, the details are very nice. It's the same Plo Koon head sculpt that we've seen before on the Attack of the Clones release. It has got some nice paint shading, to say the least. The breather mask has been done in a more gunmetal, darker paint shade this time, which is nice. It does somewhat pay homage to the Clone Wars figure in the colour, I suppose, if nothing else. The Jedi robes are in a dark brown, maroon colour, I suppose. There's a couple of different shades on the go there. And I mean, for the most part, even though the sculpt is dated and not very good by today's standards, the actual detailed sculpting in it is nice. As you can see, the textures are really good, which is quite a surprise, really, considering how many times this has been reused. There is very little mold degradation, so I suppose that's a positive. The forearms are from the Clone Wars Mace Windu, so that was a small update that this body mold received for an additional release later on. You've got the Jedi Council logo there, the Jedi Order logo, whichever that may be. And this is another point of contention for me, because whilst he's got the gauntlets from the Clone Wars, when they do these Jedi, they don't put the elbow pads on, which is a design element that's there in the series. So that's really something that shouldn't be omitted each time they want to bring these out. And Plo Koon is supposed to have the hand plates that the clone troopers have, and because Hasbro just wanted to reuse Plo Koon's already existing hands, all we've got for this guy are those very same hands, just half painted black to make it look like the gloves are there. So it is very disappointing, specifically because those armour plates on the back of his hands would have the Wolfpack logo on there. So another key detail for the character, if you like, that's been omitted, just so they can reuse parts. The legs there, they're in a beige colour for the trousers and a red colour for the boots, which, I mean, it's a little bit wrong, it's a little bit alright. I've lost for what to say with this, really. It's quite annoying, and it's disappointing for fans of the Clone Wars. Some of you guys that are watching know that the Clone Wars is my bread and butter for Star Wars. It's what means the most to me. And it's just very disappointing to see such an iconic character that could have been a brand new, unique sculpt just be treated in such a way, I suppose. His lightsaber is his only accessory. Not that that's a problem. I mean, that is what Plo Koon would require. I'll just give you a closer look at that. And unfortunately, this is reused again from the first version of Plo Koon, which in itself should have been updated at the very least. Hasbro could have gotten away, in fact, with just painting this silver, and it would have been more accurate to Plo Koon's actual hilt deco, as originally Hasbro reused one of the General Grievous lightsaber hilts for him and Kit Fisto. So this is carried over again, and as a result is inaccurate. The blade will come out, but the hilt itself can't actually be stored on the figure, so that's rather pointless. Something that would have been very nice to have with this guy, which Twin Sons Collecting mentioned over on my Instagram post, is a little homage to the Clone Wars figure. Wouldn't have gone amiss. Or many versions of the Plo Koon figure over the years have come with that lightsaber gauntlet from the concept art. That would have been fantastic. That would have just about made up for some of the sins in this release. But no, this is what we've got. And I suppose the biggest shame of all is that this is probably what we're stuck with in the line now for the foreseeable future, if not indefinitely, for the Clone Wars version of Plo Koon. And it's very disappointing. I'm sorry to be so negative, but I'm all about giving my honest opinion, and I'm not about to blow smoke up Hasbro's backside for something they've done wrong at the end of the day. If you feel differently, if you think this is fine, by all means you're entitled to your own opinion, and if this is going to be a good figure for you on your display, then all the power to you for that. In fact, let me know in the comments. Tell me what you think of this. Have Hasbro been lazy, or should they have done better? And should we have expected better, really? Articulation is probably the only thing left to cover with this guy. And as he's on the old Mace Windu body, it's not the best. He does have a ball joint in the head and in the neck, although it's only very slight. There are ball hinge shoulders. There is a butterfly joint in there, as they just started to roll those out when Mace Windu was released. We've got hinge swivel elbows, and then the old style wrists. This side is more of the in and out flex. Yeah, and I believe the other side is the same as well. This hand has got the force gesture, like the original version, so I suppose that's quite nice. He's got a ball joint in the upper torso there, which has always had a nice amount of range, I will say. He's got ball jointed hips. And then we've got the old double jointed knees with the pin showing. I mean, that in itself just tells you how old this body has been around for. And then we've got a hinge on the ankle with the rocker joint. And personally, I've always felt that these ankles were articulated very weirdly. The joint itself is set in there quite deep. And on some of my other Mace Windu figures, stability has definitely become an issue as time's gone on due to that ankle joint. But that's Plo Koon. That's my little rant about him. I hope I've given you guys a decent look at what could have been a decent figure. And that just about does it for this review, everyone. Thank you for watching. Apologies it got a little bit ranty towards the end there. I guess I feel very strongly about the Clone Wars, and specifically about this figure. Commander Wolffe, though, fantastic release. Definitely worth grabbing the 2-pack for that. These do tend to sell out rather fast, and as of recording this video, the pre-order is sold out on Hasbro Pulse, at least in the UK. If you've missed out, these will go up on the Disney Store at some point in the near future, but when precisely is anybody's guess. But thanks for joining me for another review. Subscribe if you haven't already. Head on over to Instagram and follow me there, and there'll be a HD gallery of this set waiting for you to have a look at. I'll catch you in the next review. Thanks very much, take care, and may the Force be with you always.